Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders find themselves at a crossroads during this week's bye, a period that should ideally offer rest and reflection, but in reality exposes the cracks that have been developing all season. Once touted as legitimate Super Bowl contenders, the Commanders' trajectory has been anything but smooth, and the optimistic glow surrounding last season's NFC Championship run has long since dimmed. What was supposed to be a campaign built on momentum and savvy off-season acquisitions has morphed into a cautionary tale of how quickly expectations can unravel. Fans who once envisioned the stadium roaring with victories now sit in a collective state of disbelief, grappling with a team that seems unable to ignite any consistent spark. The contrast between the preseason hype and the mid-season reality could not be starker, and it's impossible to ignore the central challenge facing head coach Dan Quinn. The problems are structural, deep-rooted, and unlikely to be solved with a mere week off, no matter how much soul-searching occurs in meetings or film sessions. Quinn's task is formidable. He must navigate a team that is simultaneously reliant on aging veterans, underperforming, and hesitant to grant significant roles to its younger talent, all while trying to salvage a season that threatens to collapse entirely. The core issue, Quinn knows, is that this Commanders roster is showing its age in every facet of play. Injuries have compounded the challenge, yet they are not the root cause. The gamble to maintain continuity with last season's roster, supplemented by targeted off-season acquisitions, has backfired. The squad is slower, less explosive, and struggling to generate the playmaking necessary to compete consistently in a league where speed and adaptability are paramount. Time and again, games have exposed the limits of veteran players, whose contributions are now constrained by the natural decline of athletic performance. It is a paradoxical situation. Loyalty to players who have earned respect and camaraderie is noble, yet it creates a ceiling that stifles the emergence of young athletes who might carry the franchise into the next phase. This tension is the invisible thread running through every decision Quinn faces. From practice reps to in-game substitutions, the challenge is no longer theoretical. It is visible in the scoreboard, in the missed opportunities, and in the fan frustration that is steadily mounting. Compounding the roster dilemma is the difficulty in blending youth with experience, a balancing act that Quinn himself has described as delicate but essential. The team's younger players, many of whom were drafted for their potential to inject energy and skill into the lineup, remain on the periphery. Second-round selections like Johnny Newton and Ben Sinnott have yet to carve out meaningful roles, while Jakery Krosky-Merritt has been relegated to a secondary position in the backfield. The defensive backs aspiring for more playtime are similarly constrained, and the situation extends to the offensive side of the ball, evidenced by the recent release of wide receiver Jacoby Jones. These moves signal a cautious approach from Quinn, a coach attempting to protect the franchise from collapse, while weighing the development of his younger talent against loyalty to his established veterans. It is a scenario fraught with tension. Too much reliance on veterans may perpetuate stagnation, while overexposing untested players risks additional losses that could accelerate the downward spiral. Quinn must tread a path that balances immediate results with long-term planning, a task easier said than done. The bye week presents a moment for reflection, though it is far from a panacea. Quinn's words reflect cautious optimism, emphasizing the importance of incremental evaluation rather than sweeping overhauls. It takes a fine line, I think, but one that you can do, he explained, highlighting the thoughtfulness required to assess talent without destabilizing the team entirely. It is a philosophy rooted in patience and strategic foresight, yet one that may not fully satisfy fans or analysts desperate for immediate change. The Commanders cannot afford a free fall in morale or performance, even as the realities of their roster composition press hard against the limits of competitiveness. The task is to find windows where younger players can be tested, opportunities where the potential of the future can be glimpsed without sacrificing the dignity or contributions of veteran leaders. It is a delicate equilibrium, requiring both courage and discernment from a coaching staff, walking a tightrope over an abyss of missed expectations. Quinn's approach underscores a fundamental principle of his leadership: loyalty. The coach is clearly unwilling to discard players he has trusted and built relationships with, even when those decisions may conflict with the urgent need for roster rejuvenation. This loyalty is admirable in principle, but it is also a double-edged sword. The Commanders' predicament demonstrates that in football, sentiment alone cannot mask the decline of athletic performance or compensate for gaps in speed, agility, and playmaking capability. The long-term viability of the franchise depends on balancing respect for veterans with an honest appraisal of their capacity to contribute at a high level. By the time the 2026 offseason arrives, the team will need a clear strategy for regenerating its roster, one that prioritizes a youthful core while preserving the culture and ethos established by its leaders. Failure to recognize this sooner risks both short-term disappointment and long-term stagnation, a scenario Quinn must navigate with both humility and decisiveness. Looking ahead, the Commanders face a simple yet daunting truth: they need to get younger. It is not merely a preference, it is a necessity dictated by the pace of modern NFL competition. Every game exposes the limitations of a slow, aging lineup, and the margin for error is shrinking. Quinn understands this, and yet he is constrained by an emotional commitment to players who have defined the recent identity of the franchise. The result is a tension-filled environment, where every decision carries weight far beyond the immediate moment. Fans and analysts may question the prudence of these choices, yet Quinn is navigating a reality in which respect, strategy, and foresight must coexist. The bye week may offer insight, planning, and moments of calm, but it cannot conjure wins or erase the structural issues at play. The Commanders' trajectory is now contingent on thoughtful execution, the willingness to experiment selectively with youth, and a disciplined approach to the veterans' contributions. Every game becomes both a test and a lesson in the art of roster management. Under pressure, ultimately, the Commanders' season is a reflection of unresolved tensions and difficult choices. There is no quick fix, no magical adjustment that will instantly restore the promise of Super Bowl contention. The reality is that losses have compounded, fan patience is thinning, and pressure is mounting at a pace that cannot be ignored. Quinn's challenge is as much psychological and cultural as it is strategic. He must navigate a team in free fall with integrity and foresight, balancing immediate needs with long-term objectives. If the Commanders are to emerge from this period, not just with a clearer understanding of their roster, but with the tools to rebuild successfully, decisive steps must be taken. The stakes are high, the path is narrow, and the outcome is far from certain. Yet within this turmoil lies opportunity, a chance to evaluate talent honestly, to align team philosophy with the demands of the modern game, and to set a foundation for a revival that may well define the next era of Washington football. The bye week is a pause, not a cure, and the choices made during this interlude could resonate far beyond the immediate scoreboard. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. Whispers around the league have been growing louder, and if you've been paying attention, you might have felt that subtle tremor shaking the foundations of the Commanders' locker room. Terry McLaurin, the team's star wide receiver, is reportedly on the move, and while nothing has been officially confirmed, the chatter is impossible to ignore. Sources close to the team hint that McLaurin, who has been the face of the franchise's passing attack for years, is exploring options that could take him far from Washington. It's the kind of rumor that sparks debates on Twitter, floods sports podcasts, and sets fantasy football leagues into a frenzy, all while the organization stays tight-lipped. The idea of McLaurin leaving isn't just a simple roster change. It's a seismic shift that could redefine the Commanders' offensive identity, forcing everyone to rethink the dynamics of their offense and the leadership of their locker room. For years, McLaurin has been a consistent presence, a reliable target, and the player that opposing defenses feared most. Losing him, even in a hypothetical sense, is like losing a limb. The team would need to scramble, rethink their strategy, and adjust to life without arguably their most explosive weapon. The speculation surrounding McLaurin's future has been fueled by subtle signals and quiet murmurs that insiders sometimes drop in the hallways of training facilities or during league meetings. It's a pattern familiar to anyone who follows the NFL closely. Star players suddenly appear in trade talks, cryptic social media posts stir the fan base, and contract negotiations leak just enough to get people talking, but never enough to form a clear picture. There are hints that the root of the situation could be tied to contract disagreements or long-term vision misalignment between McLaurin and the front office. Some insiders suggest that McLaurin is seeking the kind of security and recognition that he hasn't fully received, while the Commanders might be weighing their financial flexibility and roster-building philosophy. The result is a tense push and pull that has left both sides quietly exploring alternatives, with agents, general managers, and coaches all participating in a high-stakes game behind closed doors. Rumors have it that McLaurin's agent has been quietly gauging interest from several other teams, including franchises that are on the cusp of serious playoff contention. Teams that could offer not only a larger paycheck, but also a more prominent defensive role, allowing McLaurin to fully showcase the skills that have made him one of the league's elite wideouts. Adding fuel to the fire, social media has been ablaze with subtle hints that fans are picking up on almost instinctively: a cryptic post here, a carefully chosen quote there, and suddenly the rumor mill is churning out stories at lightning speed. Some analysts speculate that McLaurin's relationship with the quarterback and coaching staff might also be a factor. While publicly there have been smiles, handshakes, and platitudes, insiders suggest there could be unspoken tensions around play calling, usage, or even long-term offensive philosophy. McLaurin, known for his dedication and competitive spirit, reportedly wants a situation where he is not just a star but a cornerstone, a player around whom the offense is designed. This, combined with his rising market value and undeniable talent, makes him a hot commodity in trade talks. Teams with glaring needs at wide receiver are likely monitoring the situation closely, ready to pounce if the Commanders make any indication that they're willing to part ways. In this context, the story is no longer just about a player leaving a team. It's about leverage, strategy, and the chess match that is modern NFL roster construction. Fans are already feeling the ripple effects, even if the move hasn't officially happened. Discussions are erupting in forums, comment sections, and fan communities about what losing McLaurin would mean for the Commanders' offensive outlook. Would they pivot to a run-heavy scheme? Could younger receivers step up to fill the void, or would the team be forced into the open market to chase a replacement? The speculation is endless, and the tension is palpable because McLaurin isn't just any player. He is someone who has carried the team through tough stretches, someone whose catches have been highlight reel worthy and season-defining. Imagine watching him line up on Sunday and knowing that, at some point soon, he might be donning an entirely different uniform, catching passes for a rival team, and leaving Commanders fans wondering how things might have been different. This is the kind of storyline that captures attention not only because of the player's talent, but also because it hits at the heart of what makes football so emotionally engaging: the intersection of human ambition, team identity, and the unpredictable nature of the sport. On the other side of the rumor, league executives are reportedly intrigued by McLaurin's situation. Teams with the salary cap space, offensive schemes that could maximize his explosiveness, and a winning culture are reportedly entering the conversation quietly. There's talk that franchises with dynamic quarterbacks and established playoff aspiration could view McLaurin as the missing piece, the type of player that could elevate their offense to an elite level overnight. The intrigue is heightened by the timing of all these discussions, the interplay of draft capital, and the delicate dance of public perception versus internal strategy. For the Commanders, any decision to move McLaurin would not be taken lightly. It would require careful consideration of fan backlash, locker room morale, and long-term competitive implications. But at the same time, the financial realities of the league and the allure of flexibility in building the roster cannot be ignored. It's a situation that seems to balance on a knife edge, where a single conversation, a single leak, or a single negotiation could set off a chain reaction that reshapes multiple franchises. Meanwhile, media speculation continues to swirl like a storm cloud over the team's operations. Sports shows and podcasts are dissecting every snippet of information. Analysts are replaying old games to underscore McLaurin's impact, and fans are debating every potential landing spot as if predicting his next move could somehow influence the outcome. The human element of the story, McLaurin's competitive drive, his aspiration, and his relationship with the fans adds an emotional layer that keeps people talking even in the absence of official statements. Rumors of a trade, whispers about contract disputes, and the tantalizing possibility of a blockbuster move have made this one of the most discussed potential storylines in the league. Every interview, every press conference, every social media post is analyzed for hidden meaning, feeding a narrative that grows larger with each passing day. The ripple effect of McLaurin's potential departure is also evident within the Commanders organization itself. Coaches are reportedly adjusting game plans, perhaps tentatively envisioning life without their star receiver. Teammates, while publicly supportive, are said to be contemplating the reality that their offensive identity could be shifting. Young players may feel pressure to step up, while veterans might consider their own futures in light of the team's evolving roster. It's the kind of behind-the-scenes drama that rarely makes the headlines in full, but dominates internal discussions and strategic planning. Every personnel meeting, every draft board, and every practice session is viewed through the lens of what if McLaurin leaves, and the uncertainty permeates every corner of the organization. Even casual fans sense that something is happening, because the energy surrounding the team has shifted, subtle but undeniable, like the air before a storm. As this saga unfolds, one thing is certain: Terry McLaurin remains one of the league's most captivating players, and any move he makes will dominate headlines, alter team dynamics, and spark debate across the sports world, whether he stays or goes. The Commanders face a turning point that could define their future, and McLaurin himself is at the center of a story that blends talent, ambition, and strategic maneuvering. The rumor mill is alive, social media is buzzing, and the league is watching. And while we wait for confirmation or for the next dramatic twist, one thing is clear: in the NFL, the story of a star player on the move is never just about football. It's about timing, opportunity, and the delicate balance between loyalty and ambition. Terry McLaurin leaving the Commanders may just be the headline that reshapes not only one franchise but also the entire landscape of the league, as fans, analysts, and insiders all hold their breath, waiting to see how this high-stakes drama will play out. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.